Hi, everyone. My name is Cassandra McCarty, and I'm presenting today's Take 10 webinar on mind and muscle. Thank you for taking the time to be here. Today, we're talking about something that I'm really passionate about, the connection between your mind and your body and how movement can actually help you handle stress, build resilience, and improve your overall well-being. This isn't just about working out. This is about how we live, how we cope, and how we show up to life every single day. So a little bit about me, a quick intro. My name is Cassandra. I've been in the fitness industry for over 25 years, and I've worked in every field under the sun when it comes to fitness, from personal training to various group fitness formats to health coaching and leadership. But most importantly, my passion for this topic comes from lived experience. I'm also an abuse survivor, and I've lived with CPTSD, and I'm actively involved in fighting trafficking. I love to travel, and this has been a big part of my life as I've started writing and studying trauma and how to heal from trauma and handle life stresses through fitness. I've seen and personally experienced how movement can be a tool, not just for physical change, but for healing, for processing stress, and for building mental and emotional strength. So today, I want to share both science and real life application with you. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Yerkes-Dodson law, but I want to dive in with this concept. Is all stress bad? When I think of stress, or when you think of stress, what do you think of? Most of the time, we think of people that are burnt out or something happens to them in life. But there's other types of stress that's actually good stress. Like if you encountered a bear, you have a natural stress response in your system that actually helps you go into that fight or flight mode and protects you. Another type of stress that's good is actually exercise. So what this is showing in this Yerkes-Dodson law is that stress is not the enemy. In fact, performance actually improves with stress up to a point. But once stress becomes too much, we move into fatigue, burnout, and eventually breakdown. So the goal is not to eliminate stress because we can't. It's a fact of life. But the goal is to learn how to manage it. So, and you can see here in this diagram that when we have too little stress in our life, we can become bored, complacent. But as we start to experience enough good stress, it could be stress at work that gets us focused in. It could be working out. We become more energized and focused. But then that's where we reach our optimal performance. But if we get too much stress or it's ongoing or it's unmanaged, that's when we dip down into the fatigue, the exhaustion, health issues, the burnout and the breakout. So again, it's about managing stress at the end of the day. And this is where fitness becomes very powerful. Exercise gives your body a controlled environment to experience stress so that you can practice handling it safely. I'm going to dive more onto this in the next slide. But just remember, so instead of letting stress happen to you, movement specifically allows you to train your body on how to respond to stress. So let's dive into the science. Over the years that I've been in fitness, my background is in psychology, and I started noticing with my clients after 25 years that we would be working out, and the next thing I know, they're crying, they're angry, and they start talking, and I realized they were processing their emotions or what was going on in their life at the time. So I started diving in and doing some research, and I discovered that when you go through high stress environments, trauma, dramatic experiences, you have a dump of these three hormones into your system: cortisol, adrenaline, and norepinephrine. When you work out, you have those same hormones that are dumped into your system. But let's dive into the hormones first. Adrenaline. Adrenaline basically is your immediate response that you feel your heart rate goes up, you start sweating, your alertness also goes up. Again, you encounter a bear, adrenaline, and epinephrine is not a bad thing. Norepinephrine is what increases your focus and your alertness. And cortisol, so it's basically your long-term stress hormone. So it keeps your body on alert. So there is a healthy amount of cortisol, but if it goes overboard, that's when it can become difficult and dangerous to the body. So, but these hormones in and of themselves are not bad. They're actually designed, again, to protect you. But the problem is, especially in our day and age, anything from things that happen in our life to having smartphones that constantly keep our attention and keep our body in hypervigilance brings a stress state that if we stay in it too long, it starts to come out into our body in different ways. But again, this is where in the years that I've been a personal trainer and been in fitness, I've seen exercise do wonders. The one thing I've noticed over the years is that when hard times happen, the first thing that typically goes is exercise. People disappear from the gym, they quit showing up to classes. They drop out of PT. And that's what made me start diving into the research more and more. And I've come to discover it's actually important when you go through these high stress times to maintain your exercise regimen first and foremost. And here's some of the reasons why, the benefits of exercise and what it does. One, it's a safe environment. When you're in high stress or you go through trauma, it could be divorce, car accident, job loss, you have those hormones dumped into your system. But when you're working out, those same hormones are dumped into your system, but you're in a much more safe environment. And what that does is it gives you a safe space to actually process the chemicals, those hormones in your bodies a lot faster. And it also teaches you to reset a lot faster. So that's something that's really cool. Those two components alone build something that we call healthy stress tolerance. And this then ties into the whole mental toughness and resilience. So if you've never heard of BDNF, it's brain-derived neurotrophic factor. So that's a protein. It's a protein in your brain and in your nervous system that helps basically with memory, cognition, brain plasticity, which is your ability to adapt and to change. And it also helps keep your brain cells healthy and alive and also alert, and it boosts your mood overall. So it gives you other hormones such as dopamine, which gives you motivation, endorphins, that feel-good effect, and that serotonin that you get, that mood stability. So when you start working out, I know half the battle of showing up to fitness is hard, but once you get there, I've never heard of anyone walking out of a workout and say like, that was like, I feel horrible. It might've been a difficult workout, again, healthy stress, but I've never heard anyone feel worse after they work out. Maybe they're sore, but as far as their mood goes, it's a complete game changer. So movement literally starts teaching your brain to shift its chemistry. It also gives you a lot of other great things over time, such as just positive body effects, which increase your confidence. You overcome things like all of a sudden I see people who've never done push-ups before learn to start doing push-ups, and then they feel more powerful, and that gives them a more positive outlook on life. It's a snowball effect. And I'm going to dive into that on the next slide. But over time, this just builds in general something more powerful, and that's resilience. So let's dive a little bit more into the fitness foundations and how everything comes together. So typically when people think of doing just life in general, especially with stress, they teach about mindset, which is important. Things like reframing, those are all meditation, guidance, those are all great. But what I've discovered over the years is what actually sparks it is that having that physical foundation, that physical capacity, because we've learned now with all the science out there that movement actually regulates your nervous system. And it not only does that, but it helps improve your sleep, your energy, and recovery factors. And you create little rituals around it. And I'm going to talk about that on our last slide. So, but once you get that physical foundation, that then starts to build into the emotional and the mental capacity where you become less reactive, you handle stress better. And I can give this as a personal example. I know when I'm working out, sometimes like I think like this is hard, but then I think about all the stuff that I've gone through in life and how I've overcome, and that fuels my ability to get through the workouts faster. And then when I go through really stressful times, I think back to some of the things that I do that make me feel strong, and then that fuels my mindset and my emotional capacity. So it's a great cyclic cycle of how they fuel each other in a positive way. So, and then also I know people are more focused when they work out. It improves their focus, their clarity, their decision making. And then it also helps us provide a more powerful source of motivation, that spiritual capacity there, determination, endurance. And there's a whole other piece to it too about connection and being able to connect with people and build community. So a lot of people try to fix their mindset first, but I want you to remember, if the body's exhausted, stressed, and dysregulated, your mind doesn't really stand a chance. So movement is the entry point. So, and again, I've seen this over and over again, not just with clients, but in my own life and the stuff that I've gone through in my life. And fitness is the one thing, instead of throwing it out, I've learned to make it my priority, even in small amounts. And that has helped me to regulate and actually get through what I'm going through. So the mental, the emotional capacity starts to follow once I dive into that physical aspect. So, so let's just dive into the last slide here, and let's just put this on a practical level of how we can make this small. Because sometimes people are really overwhelmed with the whole thought of fitness. Like I have to be in the gym for hours at a time. I know a lot of single parents, like I don't have the time. So I want to make this real for you. You don't have to be in the gym for hours at a time. It's all about just small little pieces. I think the biggest mistake I see people make over the years is that they try to do too much too fast. So again, we want to focus on starting small. And I tell everybody, Schedule fitness into your calendar and treat it like a doctor's appointment. It is part of your health. So, and again, it doesn't have to be an hour. You could do 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at lunch, 5 minutes at night, or 10 minutes if you have it. Take a break outside. Fitness doesn't have to be this all encompassing, long, drug out timepiece. So just do small increments and then show up and then work on building consistency. So, but again, schedule it into your calendar and treat it like a doctor's appointment. Turn your phone off if you can, or turn off the notifications, put it in pen, block out your calendar, whatever you have to do. And again, start small, take little breaks here and there. And then also explore what you like and don't like. Some people love running. Some people love lifting weights. Some people love boxing or swimming. There's so many different avenues to fitness. Zumba fitness is a super fun one too, dancing. I've seen people learn how to dance just through joining Zumba. So there's a lot of different things. So I encourage you to try them all and find out what you like and you don't like. And then just pick small habits, one in particular, and then focus on building consistency. Don't try to change your diet, your exercise, everything at once. Just pick one thing and try to do it for 3-4 weeks. And if you do it, then habit stack, add on another one on top of that. Another good thing too is just starting small. Don't underestimate the simple things. Take a walk, get outside if you can, get some vitamin D, stretch at your workplace, practice some breathing exercises, things that can regulate your nervous system more than you think. And remember, consistency beats intensity every single time. And then as you start those things, that's when you start building a foundation. Then you start, when you start working out, you'll see that you're going to start eating healthier and making better decisions because you get done with the workout, and most people don't really reach for fries when they're done with the workout. Not saying it doesn't happen. It's okay if you do. Practice self-compassion. But remember, every minute's a new minute, every second's a new second. If you fall off the bandwagon, the whole day is not done. The whole year is not done. Start fresh in the next minute. And then build up to getting into weight training workouts per week. That helps protect your joints, especially if you sit a lot for your job. And then build up over time to 150 minutes is what they recommend of outside activity. And outside, I mean outside of your normal routine. So if you walk a lot for your job, do something additional. Focus on sleep. Sleep is probably the most important. And those first 4 to 6 hours are key. That's when your body is resetting the hormones and it helps you wake up more refreshed. Obviously, avoid tobacco and limit substance use, and then also limit alcohol if you can. And then make sure that you're taking healthcare, preventive healthcare habits, getting your screening checks if you need to, just to make sure that you're taking care of your body overall. Remember, at the end of the day, handling stress, handling trauma and fitness is not about perfection. It's just about building a system that supports you. So if there's one thing that I want you to take away today, it's this. Movement isn't just about fitness. Retrain your brain to think it's about building tools so that I can manage stress, build resilience, and improve my life. You don't have to do everything. You just have to start. And when you do, your body will begin to support your mind and your emotions and help you get through those tough times in ways that you've never experienced before. Thank you all for your time. I really appreciate you being here. I'd love to open it up. If you have any questions, you can drop them in the chat, or you can send us emails and let us know, and let us know what stood out to you today. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your energy. We appreciate you all. Stay better every day, even if it's just 1%.